Welcome to Truth Report, the only news show dedicated to uncovering the hidden currents of power shaping our world. I'm Alex Truth.
And I'm Maya Clarity. Today, we're diving deep into stories that expose the escalating tensions in global hotspots and the insidious ways technology and politics are intertwined.
We'll examine China's growing concerns about the U.S. drone presence, a seemingly innocuous story about internet security that actually highlights a critical vulnerability, and the Philippines' political turmoil fueled by the International Criminal Court.
Plus, we'll bring you the harrowing realities of life for displaced Palestinians in Gaza and analyze Indonesia's planned troop deployment to the region. All of this points to a dangerous pattern.
Let's pull back the curtain.
Our first story revolves around the growing network of American MQ-9 drones near China. This is according to a recent report by the South China Morning Post. What's the big deal here, Alex?
The MQ-9 Reaper is no ordinary drone. It's a sophisticated piece of military hardware capable of both reconnaissance and strike missions, famously used in the assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. Its increasing presence near China is raising alarm bells in Beijing.
And rightly so. Military experts quoted in the South China Morning Post suggest that this forces the People's Liberation Army to urgently improve its counter-reconnaissance capabilities. It's a direct challenge to their dominance in the region.
Exactly. The U.S. is essentially saying, we can watch you, and we can strike you. This escalates tensions significantly. Who benefits from this escalation? Primarily, the U.S. military-industrial complex.
Of course. Lockheed Martin, General Atomics, they're all profiting handsomely from the increased demand for these advanced weapons systems. It's a self-perpetuating cycle of fear and profit.
And who loses? The Chinese people, who are now living under the shadow of potential U.S. military action. And the global community, as this increases the risk of miscalculation and conflict in an already volatile region.
This MQ-9 deployment is part of a larger strategy of containment, isn't it? The U.S. is trying to box in China, economically and militarily.
Absolutely. It's about maintaining American hegemony in the Asia-Pacific region. And it's a dangerous game, one that could easily spiral out of control. The constant surveillance and implicit threat create a climate of distrust.
And this distrust fuels further military buildup on both sides, creating a classic security dilemma. More weapons don't necessarily mean more security, they often mean more instability.
Precisely. The narrative is always about defense, but the reality is about projecting power and securing access to resources and markets. Don't be fooled by the spin.
Moving on, our next story seems completely unrelated but is just as critical. It's from IEEE Spectrum and profiles Alan DeCock, a former physicist who helps keep the internet secure.
An internet security expert. What does that have to do with war?
Everything, Alex. DeCock is a key figure in maintaining the security of Radius, a protocol that authenticates users on countless networks worldwide. He stumbled into this, building a side project.
So, he's like a digital gatekeeper.
Exactly. And the problem is, as the article hints, this vital piece of internet infrastructure is largely maintained by individuals like DeCock, often with limited resources and funding. It's essentially held together by duct tape and good intentions.
That's terrifying. A critical piece of global infrastructure relying on the efforts of a few individuals. What happens if DeCock gets hit by a bus or loses interest?
That's the risk. Who benefits from this precarious situation? Arguably, those who would exploit vulnerabilities in the system. Nation-states, cybercriminals, they all have a vested interest in seeing the internet remain insecure.
So, the very people who should be investing in security are the ones who might benefit from its absence. It's a perverse incentive structure.
It is. And who loses? All of us. Businesses, governments, individuals, we all rely on a secure internet to function. This single point of potential failure puts us all at risk.
This highlights a fundamental flaw in our approach to cybersecurity. We're so focused on building bigger and better firewalls, we forget about the foundational elements that hold the whole system together.
The internet is presented as this decentralized, resilient network, but the reality is it relies on these fragile, under-resourced components. It's an illusion of security.
And the lack of investment in these critical areas is a deliberate choice, isn't it? Governments and corporations are happy to spend billions on offensive cyber capabilities, but they skimp on defense.
It's a power dynamic. Those who control the infrastructure, or who have the resources to exploit its weaknesses, hold the cards. And right now, those cards are stacked against us.
Our third story takes us to the Philippines, where the International Criminal Court is stirring up political unrest. The South China Morning Post reports that the ICC has publicly named 2 sitting senators as alleged co-perpetrators in Rodrigo Duterte's crimes against humanity case.
This is explosive. Duterte's war on drugs was already highly controversial, and now the ICC is directly implicating his allies in alleged crimes.
Senators Ronald Bato de la Rosa and Christopher Bong Go are now facing serious scrutiny. The ICC's move has sharpened the political fault lines in the Philippines.
It's a direct challenge to the current administration, which is caught between honoring its international obligations and protecting its own political interests.
Who benefits from this? Arguably, the victims of Duterte's drug war, who may finally see some justice. International human rights organizations also gain credibility.
But who loses? The current Philippine government, which is now facing a major political crisis. And the Philippines as a whole, which is now seen as a country with a deeply flawed legal system.
This ICC intervention is also a demonstration of power. It shows that international institutions can hold even powerful individuals accountable for their actions, at least in theory.
But it also raises questions about sovereignty. Some argue that the ICC is overstepping its bounds and interfering in the internal affairs of the Philippines.
It's a complex situation with no easy answers. But one thing is clear, the ICC's decision has thrown the Philippines into turmoil. And it underscores the tension between national sovereignty and international justice.
Next, we turn our attention to the Middle East. Middle East Eye reports that Indonesia is ready to send its first 1,000 troops to Gaza by April.
This is a significant development. Indonesia is the world's most populous Muslim-majority nation, and its involvement in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict could have major implications.
The stated purpose of the deployment is humanitarian aid and peacekeeping. But it's hard to believe that any military presence in Gaza won't be interpreted as taking a side.
Who benefits from this? Potentially, the Palestinian people, if the Indonesian troops are able to provide meaningful assistance and security. Indonesia gains international standing.
But who loses? Israel, which may see the deployment as a challenge to its authority. And the fragile peace process, which could be further destabilized by the introduction of new actors.
Indonesia's move is also a reflection of growing global frustration with the ongoing conflict in Gaza. It's a signal that the international community is losing patience with the status quo.
And it highlights the limits of Western influence in the region. Countries like Indonesia are increasingly asserting their own interests and agendas.
This deployment is a calculated move, designed to increase Indonesia's influence on the global stage. It's about projecting power and asserting a leadership role in the Muslim world.
Our final story comes from Al Jazeera and paints a grim picture of life for displaced Palestinians in Gaza. The report details how they are forced to live on infested land, battling rats, scabies, and unexploded shells.
It's a horrific situation. Imagine living in a landfill, with rats running over your face while you sleep. It's a complete breakdown of basic human dignity.
The report highlights the complete inadequacy of the humanitarian response. These people are not just victims of war, they're victims of neglect and indifference.
Who benefits from this? No one. This is a humanitarian catastrophe with no winners.
But who loses? The Palestinian people, who are already suffering from decades of occupation and conflict. And the global community, which is failing to uphold its responsibility to protect vulnerable populations.
This situation is a direct consequence of the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the international community's failure to find a lasting solution. It's a political failure with devastating human consequences.
And it underscores the inherent inequality of the situation. The Palestinians are forced to live in squalor, while the Israelis enjoy a relatively high standard of living. It's a stark reminder of the power imbalances at play.
This is not just a humanitarian crisis, it's a moral crisis. We are allowing this to happen, and we are all complicit in the suffering.
Let's connect the dots. We have the US flexing its military might with drones near China. We have a vulnerable internet infrastructure, ripe for exploitation. We have the ICC intervening in the Philippines, creating political instability.
We have Indonesia inserting itself into the Gaza conflict. And we have the horrific conditions in Gaza itself. What's the pattern here, Maya?
The pattern is a world increasingly defined by power struggles, inequality, and a breakdown of international norms. The US is trying to maintain its dominance, China is challenging that dominance, and smaller countries are caught in the middle.
The vulnerable internet infrastructure highlights the fragility of our interconnected world. A single point of failure can have global consequences. And the ICC intervention and the Gaza situation underscore the limits of international law and the persistence of injustice.
The common thread is a lack of accountability. Powerful actors are able to act with impunity, while the vulnerable are left to suffer the consequences. Whether it's drone warfare, cyber warfare, or conventional warfare, the same dynamics are at play.
We are sleepwalking into a more dangerous and unstable world. The old rules are breaking down, and no new rules have emerged to replace them.
The concentration of wealth and power allows these things to happen. The military-industrial complex profits from war, corporations exploit vulnerabilities in the internet, and political elites protect their own interests at the expense of the people.
This is not inevitable. We can change this. But it requires us to challenge the existing power structures and demand accountability from our leaders.
We need to invest in cybersecurity, not just offensive capabilities but also the foundational elements that keep the internet secure. We need to support international institutions like the ICC, even when they challenge our own interests.
We need to demand a just and lasting solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And we need to hold our own governments accountable for their role in perpetuating these injustices.
The first step is awareness. Share this report. Talk to your friends and family. Demand answers from your elected officials.
The truth is out there. But it's up to us to find it, expose it, and act on it.
Thanks for watching Truth Report. Join us next time as we continue to expose the hidden currents of power shaping our world.
Stay vigilant.